Hey guys, thanks for going on this nerd journey with me. If you want your episodes ad-free, go to makemeanerd.com/join and hit that button.
Hooked on you, baby, you're golden. Time moves, I never noticed. Just can't get enough. Got me wonderstruck.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Make Me a Nerd. I'm Mandy Kaplan, a mainstream mom whose mission it is to explore the world of nerd culture, one entity at a time. And as I'm learning on this journey, it's not necessarily just sci-fi and fantasy and Dungeons and Dragons and video games. It's also just a pure passion and your nerd love of something that maybe I wouldn't consider nerdy or other people wouldn't. It's how you love things. It's how deep your dive into these things is. And that, I think, is the case for Yuri on Ice, which is what I will be talking about today with my beautiful, exquisite, wonderful friend and returning guest, Zehra Fazal, who is an actor and a performing artist who specializes in voiceover. Her recent credits include Ima in The Chosen Adventures on Amazon Prime, Amara in Borderlands 3 and 4, and Lizard in Marvel's Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. She's also an avid figure skating fan, and follows the sport religiously. But most importantly, she performs periodically in Miscast with me, Zehra Fazal.
Mandy Kaplan, thank you so much for having me.
I almost just didn't read your bio and just said, the only accomplishment worth mentioning is that she performs in Miscast.
I mean, that would have been quite accomplishment enough.
Yes. Yeah. Forget your brilliant career and beautiful family.
I also was maybe going to lie and say that I'm not only an avid figure skating fan, I'm an avid figure skater, and I'm going to the 2026 Milano Cortina Olympic Games.
Why
Only
not?
half of that is true. I am planning to go, but I cannot balance to save my life on the ice.
So explain what Yuri on Ice is, and then I want to know your background with the sport of figure skating.
Yes.
But Yuri on Ice is something I had never heard of. So it's cool that you brought it to my attention. I never would have known about it.
I'm so happy to bring it to your attention. So Yuri on Ice is this 12-episode anime series that first was released in Japan in 2016. It's only one season. And if you're not familiar with it, as you might guess, it's about figure skating. And the story centers around two figure skaters, both named Yuri, one from Japan, one from Russia. And the coach, Victor, who forms a particularly strong relationship, we can get into all of that, with the Japanese Yuri. And it's really a story. If your listeners are familiar, it falls under the sports anime genre, where there's several anime series using anime as animation from Japan.
Yeah.
Forgive me if you are out there and you're like, duh, of course that's what it is.
Yeah. No, my listeners are familiar, having just recently done Spirited Away.
Oh, fabulous. Oh,
Yeah.
Miyazaki. Oh, how wonderful. Yes. So sports anime is a popular genre, and it's often structured here's all the stuff in a tournament and it's leading up to the finals. And it makes for a really exciting story structure because you have built-in rivalries and built-in conflicts.
Well, this is I'm not joking. It is Blades of Glory. Did you ever see that? The Will Ferrell movie?
I love that movie.
It's the same basic plot with different chemistries and rivalries, but building up to the finals and getting back into a sport that you had fallen out of favor.
Yes. I could totally see that. Except I would push back and say it's so interesting. The series' main protagonist really centers around Yuri Katsuki from Japan. And he, in the first episode, we're treated to his internal monologue, and he's like, I'm a loser, I should quit, I'm terrible. And yet, when he goes back for his first competition, his scores are really high, and all these young figure skaters idolize him. So the question is, how out of practice and out of favor was he really, or was he being so hard on himself? And he's really an elite world skater who just has really high standards for his performance. Like he wasn't like Will Ferrell performing in the flaming ice shows and vomiting inside his costume.
Correct. Not quite that. But yeah, I mean, that's all open for interpretation. And I think that Yuri on Ice is a sports anime.
Mm.
Granted, I accept that. But really, it's so much more about his insecurities and
Yes.
the way we treat ourselves and the way we, treat others because we're not happy with ourselves. And
Yes.
it's about the human, our foibles and our natural human tendencies in competition and in our,
Yes.
he's what, young, he's 22 or something.
Yes, early 20s. Yeah,
But
yeah.
he very much comes across as a teenager with
Yeah.
that just cruel insecurity and
Yes.
inner monologue. So how did you find this show? Are you an anime fan or you just are so into figure skating? Talk about your nerddom for all of this.
Yes.
Your fandom.
So I would say I was a big anime fan when I was younger. I kind of grew up in the coming the anime I watched was like late 90s, early 2000s. I was one of like the first Pokemon kids. Back when there was only 150. And I was in my college anime club. But then in the years
Wait.
What?
Wait.
What?
Okay. I hate to air dirty friendship laundry.
Okay.
But when I asked you a year ago, hey, would you want to do my podcast? It's about making me a nerd.
Yeah.
You were like, well, I'm not really into nerdy things.
No, that's not what I said.
You did. I said, or maybe I specified Marvel or something, and you were like, well, that's not
Oh.
my jam. But you had some trouble finding something that you could be nerdy about.
Well, okay.
And this time too, you were like, I don't know. I'm not so into nerdy things. I swear to you, Zehra, why would I lie?
Interesting. Well, because I definitely often acknowledge my nerdiness. I'm a nerd. But like the things I like how you described stuff you're nerdy about. It's not just like sci-fi or magic or fantasy. Like it's the level of insight and depth you get into any particular topic. So like nerdiness can exist in like I've become a big sports fan in the last couple years, and to me it feels counterculture and nerdy because I was never really into sports as a kid other
Okay.
than figure skating.
Nerdy, yeah.
So maybe
But when you say I was in my college anime club, I have to call you out. I mean,
no, a full and well, you are right to do so. No, I was
okay.
full. I've been attending Comic Cons since I was 10 years old.
Okay.
I'm a nerd.
Okay.
But I guess I'm a selective nerd. I'm not like a I know everything there is to know about anime. It's like
Right.
I'm very specific. Like I really like this one show from 2003 or this
Okay.
one show from 2016, Yuri on
Yes.
Ice.
Okay.
So to answer your question, I had like been into anime and then I fell out of it for a long time. And then I got really heavily invested in figure skating. But I had watched it as a kid because when I was a kid, my mom loved it. My sisters loved it. It was the era of Christy Yamaguchi, Michelle
And Tanya
Kwan,
Harding.
Tanya
I mean,
Harding and Nancy Kerrigan. It was like
right. Yeah.
figure skating was really at a peak in society.
Yes. Yeah.
And then I kind of lost interest in for a while. I lost interest in it for a while, and then I gained interest during the 2022 Olympic Games
Okay.
in Beijing. There was so much intrigue with, in particular, the women's competition with the Russian women and girls. They're 15, 16, 17-year-old girls competing with the doping scandal and all the fallout from that. So I kind of got drawn back into following skaters. And it was around that time that my dear, dear friend, Meredith Hershey, shout out Meredith, she was like, have you seen Yuri on Ice? And I was like, no, I've heard of it, but I never seen it. She's like, you have to watch it. So I watched it and I was like, oh my God, this is incredible because it married my love of animation and particularly Japanese animation with the subject area that I'm an expert on now. And I was like, this is such a good show about like heavily researched about the thing it's about. Like they're getting all the details really right about I can't speak from the perspective of being a professional figure skater, but like it seems like they get a lot of the details about how the fans think the experience of being a figure skater is, and like the really specific things, like what do the skaters post on Instagram? What are kind of the social things you might catch them in? You know, the dynamic between the coaches and the training, the coaches and the skaters and their training facilities and their colleagues, like everything you imagine as a fan, like what might be going on. This
Mhm.
show gets in such good detail. And I think
Yeah.
it's also really validating that a lot of young skaters like love the show and have talked about the show over the years. And
That
like,
was one of my questions. What
yes,
do actual figure skaters say about it? Because it
yeah,
seems really inside baseball. It seems very
yes,
detailed and accurate, and I'm sure the creators come from that world, or the writers.
yeah,
Because I don't know how you would create this
yeah.
from whole cloth like they did for Blades of Glory. I don't think that had a crack research squad.
I don't know, the Iron Lotus still haunts my dreams, and I
Oh, you
kind of
really
wish
know
somebody would
it.
do it in
Yep,
competition.
yep. Um,
Yeah, so, like, interestingly, I just learned that, a retired Japanese professional figure skater who had previously been competitive, I'm blanking on their name, but he skated each of the routines you see in the show, and
oh, wow.
with the exception of Yuri Plisetsky, the Russian,
Uh-huh,
character, which we'll get to him in a minute. But so he essentially skated each routine. They recorded the sounds of the
uh-huh.
blades on the
Yes.
ice in and, like, it was such specificity and attention to detail, and that's the audio that's used for each of those, and the animation. They took they took video references of the skater skating, and they hand drew over it.
Okay.
So, it really explains the fluidity and, like, the
Yeah.
precision of the motion that they got
Yeah, they
on
did
the
a
ice.
beautiful job. Wait, did you say the name of the person? Is it Kenji Miyamoto?
That sounds
Because
familiar, that sounds
that's the
familiar.
choreographer, the
Yes.
skating choreographer of the show, so
Yes. So
it
he
would make
skated
sense.
all the characters except,
Wow,
Yuri Plisetsky, Yurio, that was a female, performer that
makes
captured
sense.
his movements, which makes sense, and actually a huge inspiration for Yurio was, Yulia I can't pronounce her last name, Lipitskaya? She was an up-and-coming Russian, figure skater in that time frame that they
Okay,
really modeled his character and attitude on.
okay. Um, so that is the basis of our show. It really, although it is a competition between the 2 Yuris, the Russian Yuri is not as featured of a character. In the first 2 episodes, you think, "I get it, it's gonna be all about these 2 guys." But then we are inundated with all the competition, all these characters with all of their backstories, which was hella confusing for me. There were so many, and they all look similar when they're skating and
Yeah.
similar off the ice, and that was challenging for me. But why do you think they chose to name both characters Yuri? Do you know anything about that?
You know what? I think it's because so in the realm of figure skating, obviously Japan and Russia in real life are huge, huge, huge producers.
Mhm.
Russia has the last 4 years has been kind of awkward because of the war in Ukraine and the doping scandals. They've been banned from international competition. But
Oh.
prior to 2022, Russia, especially Russian women and Russian pairs, dominated the podiums.
Oh, okay.
Um, the last 3 Olympics, I think, were Russian female Olympic gold medalists.
Okay.
And Japan is another huge, huge, deep bench. So many talented figure skaters and men and women, and in pairs. And to watch the Japanese national championship is almost like watching the world championship because the level of skaters in Japan, the level of figure skating is so high. People are so good technically and artistically. And so you have these 2 massive powerhouse countries in skating, and Yuri is a name, a very common name in both Japanese and in Russian, Yuri and Yuri. And
Uh-huh.
so I think to draw a parallel of, like, the rising talents from both of these powerhouse countries, I think naming both of them Yuri was an interesting touch to acknowledge kind of, like, that shared cultural connection, even though they're such
Gotcha.
different countries and cultures. And I think the show does a really good job of kind of subtly, and maybe not so subtly, showing kind of the Russian work ethic and how hard Yuri works,
Mm-hmm.
kind of his relationship with his rink in Russia, the Russian attitudes,
Mm-hmm.
the do it over, do it over, do it over. With the Japanese work ethic, which is similar, but I think the case can be made it's similar, but with a little bit more. I think there's more internal pressure to perform rather than external pressure to
Mm-hmm.
perform from a cultural perspective. So I think it's just a way, by naming them both Yuri, I think it's just drawing parallels between those two very distinct training styles. And also Yuri, Japanese Yuri, he is somebody who is approaching the end of his career, or
Mm-hmm.
mid to end.
Uh-huh.
The life of a professional figure skater for males specifically, usually 24 to 28
Sure.
is a good time to retire. Whereas Yurio is this rising, he represents the future of the sport.
Right.
And like, how do you take youthful intensity and make it into more mature? Whereas Japanese Yuri, it's like, how do you take this insecure young adult and really make him a man entering adulthood and experiencing love for the first time, and passion and growth and confidence. So the reason I love figure skating, it's really what you said is so inherent in this series. It's like a growth, independent growth, journeys, identity,
Mm-hmm.
young people growing up and becoming the kinds of adults that they want to become, and how that informs the maturity of their sport. I love these kinds of stories. It's so inspiring.
Well, I think the naming thing is similar to the Housewives in that there's a Bronwyn in Beverly Hills and a Bronwyn in Utah.
Wait, what? You're telling me
Yeah.
there's two public figures named
Bronwyns.
Bronwyn?
Yep, I am. I sure am. So but in all sincerity, I think as a mom of a 15-year-old who is very hard on himself to
Mm.
be, you know, to thrive in school, to be good at his passion for music, watching these young people have so much internal and external pressure put on them is really hard.
Yeah.
And it's all of them. It's every skater.
Yeah.
They, most of them are dicks to each other and to themselves and their coaches. They're all awful. And it's like, well, I get it because you've been raised, you know, to be a product of your
Mm.
family, your country, your sport, it's just extraordinary pressure.
There's a lot of room for dysfunction in that kind of environment too, and abuse. Which, not to bring the mood down, but figure skating itself in real life, the sport, is riddled with these issues, especially when you look at in Russia, when the 15-year-old Kamila Valieva, who was the center of the doping scandal at the last Olympics, had been given a performance enhancing drug and was punished and banned from the sport for 4 years with no repercussions to her coaching staff, who are the people who probably gave her the drug in the first
Right.
place.
Right.
So it's there's a lot of vulnerability.
Absolutely. I mean, I go way back to my thing was gymnastics growing up, and
Mm,
like Bella Caroli and how awful he was to these
yes.
tiny, beautiful girls, and it's just sports are really can be breeding grounds for abuse and
Yeah.
pressure, and there is a ton of that feeling in this show, but
Yeah.
because it's anime, it's this different way of telling the story that you really couldn't do in all the after school specials I watched. What's it called? Like The Girl in the Box or the one about gymnastics. Anyway,
Oh.
but they the animation is so interesting and confusing to me. And when we meet Yuri, the Japanese Yuri, our
Mhm.
main protagonist, his family says, "Oh, you've gotten really fat. Look how fat you are. Ha ha ha."
Yeah.
But he's not at all. But then he
Right.
is, but then he's not. And it's the anime is playing with how he views himself versus how he is seen externally, which as a person who's not used to anime, it's very confusing at first because he takes off his jacket and he's got a big belly and they're like, ha ha, look how fat you got. and then he gets on the ice and he is anorexic. So it, and they just keep changing the animation based on his mood. So
Yeah, that's
sometimes
interesting.
he's a 22-year-old beautiful figure skater. And
Yeah.
then the next scene or the next frame, he's an 8-year-old with glasses. And then in the
Uh-huh.
next frame, he's 15. I'm not imagining this. This is how they chose to
Depict the character at different
right.
moments in the story. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's interesting. And it's like when I first saw the show way back like 4 years ago, I was like, that's just Japanese biases and Japanese culture. It's not as in America, if we were to have that in a show, that would not probably not happen
Mhm.
even now in 2025 under our current administration. It's still you wouldn't casually talk about the fatness of a character without unless you were making a specific point about that's unhealthy, that's
Right.
not cool. However, Japan 2016, I would argue that society so when I first saw it, I was like, "Oh, that's just a Japanese societal thing where it's a cultural thing that, they might explore in their show." But, like, now that I think about and it also, is a statement about how strict body protocols are in that sport and
Right.
how having a little extra bloat might be considered by people in that sport to be unseemly, unprofessional, which is another very problematic thing. Um, I would not wanna be a figure skater. I would not want my child to be a figure skater. Let's just put that out
No,
there.
too much pressure. Wait, Pete, if you could do me a favor and put up the picture of the side by side. It's the same character and he looks completely different in both shots, just so everyone can get a sense of what I'm talking about.
Yeah, but Mandy, I think you brought up an interesting point. Like the depiction of the character directly mirrors like he's kind of an unreliable narrator of
Very
himself.
much so.
And throughout the course of the anime, one might argue he becomes more beautiful, drawn more beautifully because he's been training and working and competing and getting back into shape. But I would also argue it's a mindset thing for him. He's coming to see himself as beautiful, as
Mhm.
confident,
Mhm.
um, and is transformed through this relationship with not only Victor, his coach, but with himself and
But
his
yeah,
good.
no, I think that's a wonderful way of looking at it. It's not just it's all the characters or some of them, but it's the picture that people can see right now is of the Russian Yuri because he does the same thing where he
Mhm.
is 14 and then he's 20 years old and he goes back and forth. So as a casual watcher of this, it's confusing, but I love the way you explained it. And I think you're right that they grow into it's like they are emotionally stunted, but the world sees them as these beautiful
Right,
men
right,
and they need to get there. So they still look in the mirror and see all of their insecurities.
right.
But we do too, and it's just confusing.
But I gotta say, of all the insecurities, dad ass ain't one. There was a lot of attention and care paid, specifically, I learned, to the animation and design of the men's butts.
Well, excellent point. We're on to another picture. Pete, if you could put up the close up of someone's ass, it wasn't a man, I think it's a woman. It's fascinating to me how many close ups there were of crotches and asses
Mhm.
just as a character was talking. We were only seeing their bathing suit parts.
I mean, when you're in a casual conversation with someone, Mandy, don't you first focus on the crotch and then move up? Like,
I'm sorry, what? I tuned out. What?
I thought
See
that
what I
was your
did?
thing.
Uh-huh. Well, but I initially I was like, "Zara, what am I watching? Why is a character walking up and the focus is on their ass?" And
Yeah.
then I got used to it. Maybe it's because all these characters are so visceral, that's what they reduce each other to, or
Well,
I don't know.
I think it's more it's interesting. It's so interesting. So, I'm wondering how much of it is just it happens more in anime where there's, like, a body pan to show kinda, like, the strength, the power, the confidence of the character, or because it's a sports anime, so much of the focus is on the body and the conditioning and the training. So, especially with figure skaters, if you watch figure skaters, purely from a non-sexual point of view, they're the gluteus maximus, the development of those glute muscles, it's so incredible. It's like it's been chiseled. And it's a huge how do I say this without sounding like a dirty old woman? It's like it's so interesting to watch these bodies in
Yes.
motion that look like statues with the musculature doing these incredible feats. And
Well,
I'm sure
uh,
that was part of the decision process of what to feature in this
right.
sports
But
anime
I
about figure
get
skating.
that, in the history of art, let me explain the history of art to you. No,
Okay.
but the human form was a thing of beauty. And, we could all think of Michelangelo's David. And I get that. I get why they showed Victor, the coach, who we'll get
Right.
to. He was naked a lot,
Yeah.
a lot.
Yeah.
I understand that. But it was strange that like a cashier would say, "Oh, that's $5," and we would be seeing the the crotch of the cashier. It
Oh,
was, and
interesting.
it wasn't what you're saying. The thing that jumped out at me, it wasn't somebody's walking up and another character is scanning them and checking out their physicality. It was just like the animators
The way things
chose
were framed.
to have a lot of close-ups of butts and fronts, hiney ones and hiney twos. I don't know why.
That's fascinating. Does it help that I think one of the co-creators of this show and like the primary kind of artist is a woman? And this particular genre of animation with beautiful men, or bishonen as they're called, is directed primarily at female viewers.
I'm not saying it was offensive, and they did it for male and female characters. So I'm not, it was like just a choice
Yeah.
that I kept writing, "Oh, Zara,
Crotch.
here's another
But
crotch. Here's another butt. What's happening?"
what's Sarah trying to tell me?
Yeah.
It's so interesting. Oh my God. I need to go back and look and see how prevalent this is because I'm wondering if I'm conditioned to viewing something,
Mhm,
particularly like a lot of stylistic standards that are kind of present in anime, you might
mhm.
argue. Like also the fluctuation of image, especially if a character is in a heightened state of emotion, everything transforms and then looks different. Like
Yes.
the character models, base models kind of change.
Yes. Okay, so I have another question
Hmm.
because that is not standard, animation. It's a very specific style that
Yeah.
I don't know is common in anime or just in Yuri on Ice.
Hmm.
But, uh, at many, many, many points throughout the 12 episodes, um, characters appear with red lines
Yes.
on their face. Pete, Pete, please put that picture up of all our characters with their red lines. I didn't get it because it wasn't embarrassment, like, I understand
Uh-huh.
turning cheeks red or
Yes.
frustration where you would see wrinkles. It
Yes.
was like sometimes they would have horizontal red lines across their face, sometimes they were vertical. I couldn't make heads or tails
Yeah.
of it.
Wow. So, okay, do you have the picture that you're having me
Yeah,
put up just so I can take
let
a
me
look at
try.
it? Did you see, like, sweat drops? Are you familiar with
Oh,
sweat
I
drops?
saw those, but that's
Okay.
not what I'm talking about.
So often I'll say that, without having seen the image yet, like, red lines or lines in anime are often used to denote, like, movement or intensity or directionality.
Okay, I don't know if you can see this.
They're so cute!
I'm
Yeah,
showing
yeah, yeah.
her.
Like
I put
frustration. The bottom
Yeah.
one is like, "Oh my god, I'm
Oh, those are
mortified."
blue lines. The middle
Mhm.
one is little brown lines, and the top one is horizontal lines all across the faces of the triplets who are so annoying, I wanted to punch them.
So what I love about anime and Japanese art in particular, it's like the heightening of emotions
Mhm.
that's both in the vocal performance and in the drawn. And I don't know if you watched the subtitled version of the show or
I
the
did.
dubbed. You watched
No,
the
no, no, no. No, no, dubbed, dubbed.
dubbed.
Yeah.
So it's interesting the choices, and we could get into that, but it's interesting the choices that when translating to English, you have to make as a performer. Like, do I keep the heightened performance? Even though it's like natural, makes sense in Japanese, does that same heightening work in English? And the art, you can argue the same. Like, so the lines and all those kind of exaggerations of the characters' faces and bodies serve to heighten emotion. And that's just a very standard visual language present in a lot
Okay.
of anime.
Okay, good. And I to answer as oh god, it's going to sound xenophobic, and I am not, or I hope I'm not. But no, the shouting doesn't work. Like Casey went through an anime phase, and the amount of screaming coming from the other room when I was cooking dinner,
Uh-huh.
and I think culturally in Japanese it makes perfect sense.
Yes.
But when you just have the sister who was so annoying, like she was
Oh,
just screaming all the time, it's not it doesn't work for my sensibility.
that makes sense. That makes sense. And I can't speak to that because I always watch subtitled.
Okay.
I've a lot of wonderful colleagues who work on dubs, and that's
Mhm.
awesome. But as somebody who speaks Japanese, I'm gonna watch the original language version and appreciate it in its kind of original cultural context. I'm glad dubs exist so that, because obviously there's some people who love to just have it on, don't wanna sit and read the subtitles.
Right.
That's great. You do you. That's
Yeah.
wonderful. And thank you for giving us voice actors jobs in dubbing. Fabulous. But as a casual viewer, as a fan myself, I like to see things in their original cultural context, especially if it's a language I speak myself.
Which we haven't gone into the fact that it's a total sidebar that you were one of the voices in Godzilla -1, which I
Oh,
did on the
yeah. I
podcast.
see. Oh, it's a dragon. It's not Godzilla, but I saw that snout on your
Yeah.
background, and I'm
Yeah.
like, "Oh,
No, that
yeah.
it is a non-trademarked image on my artwork.
Ex excellent."
Thank you, Pete.
A
Um,
Gorgon.
okay, so you have just explained anime in a way that I can relate to it. And I really appreciate it because you said that the artwork changes. It's just how anime expresses their characters' feelings, and it's pretty standard. And it reminds me of the brilliant, brilliant song in Something Rotten the Musical, where they're explaining musicals and they're like, so somebody just bursts out into song when they, yeah, when their emotions are heightened.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yes.
yes, well, that is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. But musicals make perfect sense to me.
Yeah.
But a lot
Yeah.
of people watch them and think, why the hell are they singing when they should be talking?
Mm,
Or,
right.
and it's like, well, that's just the art form. That's how they express themselves. And you
Yeah.
just made a perfect parallel from my nerdery to your nerdery.
Oh,
And
good.
now I understand more. It's like, that's just the language. That's
Yes.
just how anime is.
And now I know in the future I need to explain everything to you in musicalese, and then you'll
Yes.
get it.
Or football, but that's not one of the sports you're into, I think.
No, I'm
Yeah.
baby stepping into football.
All
Right
right.
now it's the
I'm here for you.
WNBA.
Okay. Well, I can make you a nerd about football if you ever want.
Oh,
Um,
strange.
so early on in episode 2, the Russian coach of Russian Yuri, his name is Victor,
Yep.
uh, basically decides he might coach Japanese Yuri, but he's going to make them compete for his coaching.
Mhm.
And Victor is naked so much of the time, and he's
Mhm.
so aggressive. And I started to think, oh, wait, oh, shit, this is gay. I didn't realize I was watching a queer series at all.
That's
It
how we
just,
get ya.
yeah, it just happened. So I looked it up because I wanted to know from here on out, is that what this is? And how was this received? So all my research from Wikipedia says it has raised discussion concerning its depiction of same sex relationships between its protagonists, with some critics praising its depiction of anxiety, its covering of homosexuality in a way that differs from most anime and manga, such as the yaoi genre. I apologize.
No, you got it.
Yaoi.
Yaoi, yaoi.
Oh,
Can I tell
and
you
for,
something?
oh,
Really ironically, Yuri yaoi is a genre of romance between men.
uh-huh.
Yuri is actually the genre of romance between women. So the fact that
Oh,
this is a queer series named Yuri on Ice and they're both named
yeah.
Yuri, I feel like that's another kind of potential nod to the gayness of it.
Well, yeah, I mean, it goes on to say it deals with homosexuality in a country and sport that has present-day issues with homophobia.
Yeah.
Others criticized its depiction for being unrealistic and of visual censorship that arguably makes it ambiguous to some viewers. I don't know how it could be ambiguous. Victor is always naked and in a hot tub with steam coming
He
off his
is.
body.
They kiss
and
and
they
they
kiss.
exchange rings.
Yeah, it is not ambiguous. I mean, unless you
Unless
don't want to
you're
see it.
willfully living in denial. Yeah.
Right, maybe they think it's an immigration issue, and that's why they exchange rings. I don't know. But I it what is wrong with me that I was watching it for episodes 1 and 2, and I was like, "I get it. It's a figure skating competition, and we're okay, I get it." And then it turned gay, and I was like, "Oh, boy, I'm leaning in." Right
Yes.
now,
Yes.
I'm down to clown,
Because the
but
relationship becomes personal.
very.
A love story.
But it's also, as a mom of a teen, it is disturbing because sometimes Yuri is seeing himself as an insecure teenage boy.
Right.
So he is intimidated and he is animated as a 14-year-old going to talk to his coach, Victor, who is naked and very sexual and
Mhm.
aggressive.
Mhm.
So I question that choice to
Yeah.
have him animated as 14 with an adult ass male, like a
They don't
30-year-old dude.
seem like equals at times, and especially if you have the coach-student dynamic, that
Yes.
also muddies the waters, even though they're
Yes.
similar age, even though it's revealed that they both were mutual competitors, before Victor decided to sort of retire and become a coach, uh, like, they're of similar age, and I don't wanna even get into some of the real life stories in figure skating world about coaches who end up dating their younger students.
I'm sure.
There's, like, as you can imagine, there's all kinds of stories. Um, but, like, it is an interesting choice that doesn't necessarily feel the best as
Mhm.
somebody with American sensibilities, eh, and yet that is the choice they make to, like, kind of and I wonder if that's one of the things where there's quote unquote ambiguity in the nature of the relationship because at times it seems like it's like coach student muse like there's a kind of a mutual muse situation going on between the two men. They're inspired by each other.
Sure.
Which is kind of echoed for me personally as a viewer. It's not so much the central characters and the central love story that's the most interesting to me. I have to be completely honest. I love this show for Yuri. His
Okay.
growth. I guess I see so much of myself in him, and this is a question I have for you. Um, but of all the characters, I identify most with the young adolescent who's, like, so frustrated with wanting to be great, but not knowing
Mhm.
how to do it and thinking he knows everything. And
Mhm.
then over the course of the show, he is humbled and he learns, "Oh, I have to collaborate and make relationships and kind of overcome myself to
Mhm.
level up and become the thing I wanna become." And in that, toward the end, he has this really interesting friendship with the Kazakhstan, skater Otabek, who I think is really heavily modeled on the wonderful late, great Dennis Ten, who won a bronze at the 2018 Olympics, and then very tragically later that year died in a
Mm.
random
Oh
carjacking
gosh.
incident in Kazakhstan. But he was a huge, huge inspiration for his country. He was the first skater from Kazakhstan to medal at the Olympics. He might have been the first athlete, period, from that country to medal.
Mm.
Uh, Double check that. But in the years since his passing, the Dennis Ten Memorial, which was just 2 weekends ago, is this big competition where skaters come to honor him, and it's a
Mhm.
great competition early in the season. And so, like, I really love that the inclusion of that Otabek character and that friendship moment when he and Yuri become friends
Mhm.
and decide, like, "Oh, international collaboration and meeting other people who feel similarly to me, even though they're so different." Like, that's kind of the nature of growing up,
Mhm.
and I think also what makes work and colleagues and meeting people on your wavelength so fun. It's like,
Mhm.
"Oh, we can only go far if we go together, and we're
Right.
pushing each other." So, like, that's the dynamic I find the most interesting as for me personally in the
Mhm.
show, is these athletes all kind of pushing each other to improve.
I
The
just wish they
romance,
weren't
I can
so
kinda take or
mean
leave.
about it. There's some of them are just so
What do
awful
you
to
think
each
about
other.
JJ? I'm the king, JJ. Go on and follow me. This is who I am.
I can't believe you know the songs. Um, I I found once they introduced so many other skaters that I lost the thread. That
Mhm.
I was like, "Okay, wait, which one is that?" And they all do look similar. And so I was like, "Wait, I thought that was the real mean one. Oh no, we haven't seen him before?" I really had some trouble
That's
keeping
fair.
track of all of them.
That's fair. I'll say as a figure skating watcher, it felt very much like, "Oh, I'm watching a new season of the sport, and these are all the
The
competitors."
new sure.
Yeah, so it felt like a simulation of the thing I'm already doing, which was kind of fun and trippy.
Yeah. I mean, at its heart, it is there's so much skating and artistry to this show, which is beautiful and impressive. But it's also, I know you love the sport, but I found it boring on like,
Oh.
there would be a routine that would go on for 5 or 6 minutes.
Mandy.
Sorry. And then they would cut away and show us other things and come back.
I appreciate your honesty.
And I was just thinking, I don't want a 5 or 6 minute routine. Just get to the heart of it. And there were
Yeah.
many, many repeat moments of, well, is he going to land the triple axel? He did.
Uh-huh.
And then it would happen in the next episode and the next episode. And I'm not a super fan of skater. I like skating, but it felt redundant to me.
Yeah, yeah. From a
And
story
I'm
perspective, I
wondering,
can see that.
yeah. And I'm wondering, I know they said they were doing a second season and then they didn't. And they had a movie and it got canceled. Do you know
Yes.
anything about that?
I
Because
don't
I'm
know.
wondering if they just ran out, if it was like we told the story.
Yeah, it's so interesting. I don't know a ton about, like, what went on behind the scenes, but I do know that they at the 2022 Olympics, they released a graphic and the internet broke. The Yuri on Ice internet broke because it was showing all the skaters as if it were 2022 and they were all competing and where was everybody what was everybody up to? And,
Uh
like,
huh.
why isn't Yuri wearing his ring? And, like,
Oh,
um,
okay.
so, like, and it was a really fun thing. I can't help but wonder, and this is where real life comes into play. So much of the original show was based on the figure skaters who were really big at that time.
Mm-hmm.
So 2010, I think, is when it really started
Mm-hmm.
being the show started
Mm-hmm.
being created, and then it really kind of 2014, that Olympic cycle is when things got really um, dialed in. So
Mm-hmm.
the a lot of the characters are reflecting the people who were skating and the kind of tenor of that season, of that era, of like the teens figure skating era,
Uh-huh.
the 20
So
teens.
who was JJ the King? Like who was the
Ah!
cocky?
So interesting, right? I have a theory that he's based a little bit on Elvis Stoiko, who is this
Oh,
really
okay.
cocky Canadian fun skater. Though Elvis
Well,
was a little before that time.
but it
Um,
would make sense calling him the King.
Yes.
Yeah.
And also Nathan Chen, our American hero, gold medalist from 2022, there's a picture of him and another figure skater making the JJ hands.
Mm.
So clearly they've watched the show, they love it.
Mm-hmm.
And Nathan Chen has been called the Quad King for all the quadruple jumps that he
Okay.
brought to the sport and revolutionized it. So I don't think it's based on Nathan Chen. Nathan is a lot more humble personality.
Mm-hmm.
But isn't there also, like, an American skater in there who's wearing, like, a cowboy outfit?
I don't remember.
Maybe I made that up. Maybe I hallucinated it all. But I feel like, yeah, like, there's a certain so with it's really interesting thinking about, Yuri,
Mm-hmm.
Russian Yuri. He was based on, Yulia Lipitskaya, who was an up-and-coming, like, favorite to win the Olympics, but something horrible happened to her from Russia, but something
Mm-hmm.
horrible happened, injury. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
sure, I don't remember the specifics, but, she similarly was somebody who was, like, very, very young and came up out of
Mm-hmm.
so quickly,
Mm-hmm.
and was very hard on herself. And Yuri, Katsuki, the Japanese Yuri,
Mm-hmm.
he I think there were multiple Japanese skaters who could have been the genesis of him,
Mm-hmm.
but a lot of fans now link him to Yuzuru Hanyu, who is arguably the all-time great artist of figure skating of our generation.
Oh.
Yuzuru Hanyu won 2 back-to-back Olympic gold medals, and then for his 3rd Olympics, placed 4th just off the podium. He's really well known for loving Winnie the Pooh, so whenever he would skate, there'd be a rain of Pooh Bears thrown on the ice, and which
Okay.
he would then donate to children's, charities and hospitals. So Yuzuru Hanyu would have been kind of the in 2014, that was his 1st Olympic gold medal, he would have been the it Japanese skater at that time
Right, and fan favorite
and fan
and
favorite and,
yeah.
very artistic, very,
Uh-huh.
and then, Victor, the coach, is based on Yevgeny Plushenko, who is now a famous coach in Russia, and,
Mhm.
at that time, he was, like, Russia's golden boy of figure skating. I
Was he always naked?
Always. Well,
Yeah.
actually, funny you bring that up. He's famous for doing this, exhibition skate, meaning the shows they do at the gala when the competition's over, where he's wearing, like, a muscle man top, and it's, like,
Uh-huh.
padded, and
Uh-huh.
so he is naked a lot of
Yeah,
the time.
yeah.
And I also heard that, like, the hair and some of the mannerisms was based on John Cameron Mitchell to put it into musicalese for you.
Hedwig?
Yes!
What?
So
Crazy.
I think, what I love, though, about just to touch again on the queerness of it all, is
Yeah.
that it took
Touch my queerness,
I'm gonna
Zehra.
touch your queerness so precisely.
Yeah, I feel it.
Russia, again, not to be xenophobic, Russia is historically very homophobic, right?
Yes.
Not
Yes.
friendly. And so I think it's the ultimate sort of
F you.
defiance, if
Yeah.
yes, you, if you will, to have that character be the center of a gay story.
Mhm.
Similarly, Japan is also a society that is not as progressive as the US was in its heyday, I
Yes.
might say.
Yep.
But it's another society where uh, the kind of homophobia stems less from a religious point of view and more from a, "Oh, but that's not like the rest of us." It's like individualism in general is kind of looked at as odd,
Okay.
anything outside the norm. So you have these 2 societies that are not friendly to gay people, and then you have a sport that despite the number of gay athletes competing in it, a lot of them remained closeted for years and years because of the international nature of the sport, because they were afraid to be reflected in the judging.
Mhm.
Um you have sort of this history of homophobia inherent in these countries and in this sport. And so I think it's so beautiful that this show did what it could to really challenge people and
Yeah,
make this beautiful story in an environment where in real life it wouldn't necessarily be welcomed.
absolutely. Um, I do have a lighter question for you.
Yes.
But before I ask it, I'm going to tell everybody my business. I'm going to get it out the way. Make Me a Nerd is a production of True Story FM, engineering by the peerless Pete Wright. My theme song is Wonderstruck by Jane and the Boy. And I really appreciate and need all of your feedback and reviews on Apple Podcast. If you could leave a 5-star review, write a little something, tell me what you think of all of the stuff I'm doing. Tell me if you have ideas for me to do. I would really appreciate that. If you're feeling extra supportive, go to makemeanerd.com/join. Hitting that button will get you your episodes ad-free and early. Ad-free. I'm going to segue in a minute. And if you want to get me on socials, I'm on Instagram at Mandy_Kaplan_Clavens, both with K's. And if you want me on TikTok, it's at Mandy Miscast. What are you doing?
I am rating your podcast 5 stars. I'm sorry, I thought I did this a year ago. You have another 5-star rating.
But you got to type, you got to hit write a review,
Okay.
and then you got to type.
Mandy has a great asset for delivery.
So here is my segue from in my spiel. I talk about getting your episodes ad free because
Yes.
that's a real appeal for people
Yeah,
watching things without ads.
100%.
What is with the ads? the fake ads that they insert into this show. You're
Wait.
watching, and then there's an image. The first one was, I wrote, WTF at 11 minutes when he goes to the rink to practice, there's a weird Hot Pocket ad for 4 seconds. What's that about? Wait, it's happening again in episode 3, but it's sake.
Okay. I think I have an answer for you.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
I
It
don't
just
remember.
cuts to an ad and comes back.
Is it like a real life ad, non-animated?
No, I
And then
mean, the animation style is different to look more real.
Uh-huh.
So it's like a plate with a Hot Pocket that's steaming, and then the
Uh-huh.
Hot Pocket, you hear like crunch, 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 and the Hot Pocket's gone off the plate.
But it's still
And
in the show?
it's
Like,
still
it's in
part of the show.
Okay.
It's not an actual ad from Crunchyroll. By the way, this show is only available on Crunchyroll, which has all the anime. So if you like it, get Crunchyroll. Okay.
So something that you see sometimes on in Japanese animation, and also a lot of animation coming out of China, is ads that are actually in the body of the episode and kind of halfway in the story, but not really. So it's like, wait, why are the characters taking a break in feudal China to now like appreciate this ice pop? And there's an ice pop ad, and then it goes back into the story. I think it's just a way to like get the advertising in there in a way that people can't skip or pay to not
Maybe,
have.
but I would posit that
Or
these aren't real ads, that I don't think there was a real product.
they
It
weren't
was
sponsors of the
I
show.
don't think so, Zara. It was so weird because then the sake was just like, you just saw sake being poured and then the
Uh-huh.
sake was gone. But it doesn't say available now
Uh-huh,
or get
uh-huh.
this brand of sake. It was just so strange to me.
That's fascinating.
And it happened, I think, once an episode. And they
Okay.
are only 4 seconds long.
I have to think that there's some sort of tie-in for why they would include the ad. It doesn't sound like it's a statement about ads, in society or in the
Mhm.
sport are a crucial part. Like being sponsored is a crucial part of the sport. Like it doesn't sound like it's an artistic statement about that. It sounds like it's how they got the money to make that dope ass animation.
Wow. Okay. I I will I'm going to make a note.
That's not something you see on the Disney Channel, is it?
No, it was
Watching
so
Big City
strange.
Greens and then all of a sudden there's a bottle of sake.
I'm going to look up the ads in the show, and if I can find it, I will update everyone on my next episode
Yes, please
because
do.
it is really jarring. It's almost like a sketch comedy thing, like how SNL has like a commercial, but then you realize it's a parody commercial.
Yeah.
It was, I didn't quite get it. But I will say that one thing that the show has a bunch of, which I adore, are 80s movie training montages.
Yes.
Nothing better. The music is driving. The theme song is really cool. It's called History Maker by Dean Fujioka. And I wrote, it's epic with strings, but it's almost pop like AJR. It's a great theme song.
It is a great theme song. It's
Yeah.
catchy as heck. I also got a shout out. I love the soundtrack to this
Mm-hmm.
series, and in particular, I love the 2 variations of Love. You have Japanese Yuri's version with the
Mm-hmm.
Latin flair, and then you have Yuri Plisetsky, which sounds like an angel boy choir singing.
Mm-hmm.
I love the music in this. And it's so, like, close to, like, actual figure skating cuts. My dream is,
Right.
like, I just want a bunch of real life figure skaters who are super nerds of this show to, like, do programs to this music. Like, actually do competition programs to this
I
music.
would imagine they have.
A
No?
couple, like, mostly for exhibition.
Okay.
But, like, I would love to see somebody, like, go all in on making Agape their short program.
Yeah. Because the music is so dramatic and rich. And so it loans itself to performance art like this.
Yeah,
So
totally.
it would make sense.
I was gonna ask you, so, like, the character I identified with most in this show is Yurio,
Mhm.
Russian Yuri. Mandy, when you watched this, was there a character that you felt most drawn to or somebody who represented your point of view or feelings in the show?
Not really. It I was along for the ride. There was no one that I thought, "Oh, that's how I would feel about all of this."
Not even Crotch Clerk?
Probably Crotch Clerk. You've given me a whole alter ego. Um, no, I mean, there's something about the young woman who runs the skating rink, and
Mm.
she has settled with the bully from high school, and they have these 3 annoying triplets, and you feel her to me, I felt like she was like, "I could have been something different, and this is where I'm stuck." And I think
Uh,
that's a relatable theme for somebody who grew up assuming I would be a massive Broadway star, and I'm not, yet.
yet.
Um, and also the sister who was real
The
really
screaming
the
sister.
screaming sister, and at one point she got very drunk. I was like, "Oh, great. Now she's gonna lose control of like, any self-control she had is gone." But she's a dancer, and he got all the attention, and she
Mm.
feels it I think it's the I was never, a genius. I have talent, and I have drive, and I have had wonderful success in my career, but I've never been a genius like these, a prodigy. So I
Hmm.
can't relate to somebody who's everywhere they go, they're considered better than everybody else and treated differently because of that. I've never had that.
Yeah, yeah, and that's, I think, why I love watching the sports I watch.
Mhm.
I could never, and I do not ever want to aspire to do a fraction of the physical things that these athletes do,
Right.
and yet their very existence is so inspiring
Mhm.
to my mindset of how I approach the things in my life and the things on my plate. Like, what are the attitudes that I can implement that
Mhm.
a top level athlete implements? I feel as a career actor, there's so many parallels in terms of like the self discipline it requires, and the self introspection it requires to keep going and keep
Mhm.
growing and improving and changing and pivoting when you need to. And so, like, I think that makes a lot of sense. It's like there's something so relatable about the superhuman
Mhm.
in that way.
Yeah, and I think that's something this show does well is make you feel like even if you're not a super skating fan, there was enough of the humanity for me to grab onto and care about and
Mm,
root for and feel the emotionality of without saying, "Oh, I could just watch figure skaters for hours and hours and hours." Because clearly I can't because I was a little like, move it along. We get it about
mhm,
some of the skating sequences, but that's, you know, it I know there are these debates about, like, what a true sports movie is, or is it just set in a sporting world
mm,
or whatever, and it's the best ones blur that line.
yeah,
It shouldn't be, "Oh, Yuri on Ice, that's that figure skating show." It should be about the characters and the heart set in the world of figure skating with a
yeah,
lot of beautiful choreography and costumes and music.
yeah.
I summed it up. I
You
did it.
did. You did it. We did it. We did
Is
Yuri on Ice.
Is there anything else that we haven't touched upon? I mean, we had to go it's 12 episodes, so there was a
Yeah,
lot. I have so many notes about moments, but we couldn't drill down
yeah. No,
in an
I just
hour.
think what I really loved about this show, and I wonder how it will age, I loved the Instagram of it all.
Mhm,
There's so many moments where we gets told the story through the skaters' Instagram
mhm.
stories, which is so as of 2025, the time of this recording, is still a very heavily used platform
Sure.
by these athletes in
Yep.
real life, and so it's a really charming way of telling the story without telling the story, just
Mhm.
kind of, getting it from social media, and it feels very parallel to the experience of fans seeing athletes' social media and
Right.
connecting the dots or what we think might be the
Well, it
connection.
gives you 2 looks at the story because we are
Yeah.
in it for most of it. We are and I didn't mention, a device that I loved was using characters' inner monologues as they skated. You They would
Yes,
just be
right.
talking to themselves and telling us what was going on or
Right,
what they had for breakfast or whatever. So that was great. Otherwise, you're watching a silent thing for
right.
5 minutes, right? Just a skater. But instead, we knew what they were feeling, not just about the skating. They would be saying, "Oh man, I shouldn't take I shouldn't do the last jump. I don't have it. I had it in practice. I don't have it now. And then they would look over on the stands and be like, what is he looking so smug at? Oh, he thinks he's better than me, right? So we heard every thought, which was
Yeah.
really cool.
It's so
Um,
interesting. I
but
wonder what real figure skaters think about that.
yeah,
Like, if they're like, "That's absurd," or if they're like, "Oh, yeah,
yep. Yeah, that's how it is. It's got to be. They must have interviewed. They couldn't have just made that up.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I know they did a ton of research because this thing
Yeah,
took years to come out,
yeah.
and I think that's part of the reason why, like, season 2, they were trying to do so much research because I think they wanted to feel true to the world figure skating
Mm-hmm.
was in
Mm-hmm.
and the current kinda state of it. But then I think at some point, the time and the interest and the money runs out,
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
who knows? Maybe somebody out there will be listening to this podcast about Yuri on Ice, and this will be the tipping point. They'll be like, "Oh,
The
people are
sequel,
really interested in this show
clamoring. Yes,
in America.
yes.
Let's do it."
Well, Zara, you multi-hyphenate, beautiful woman. Where can people find your work besides all the credits I listed?
Yes. Follow me on Instagram at Zehra Fazal. That's kind of like the repository of information that I post about shows I'm in, stuff that's coming out, all that good stuff. Yeah, that's the best place to find me.
And that'll be in the show notes, so you don't even have to spell your name or anything.
Oh, fabulous. Also,
Thank you.
it's displayed right there.
True, but people are listening.
Oh, that's right. Not everybody is watching on video.
No one's watching.
Oh, wait, the video's not used at all?
Well, I use like a clip
Got it.
online. But
Well, why am I sitting here all buttoned up? No.
oh yeah, take it all off.
I want to be naked like
Get all
you, like
Victor.
Victor.
Yes. Thank you so much, honey. I love you, and
Oh,
I
my
hate that
pleasure.
this is how I got to spend an hour with you. You fell for it. I don't even have a podcast. I just tricked you so I could spend an
You
hour
took all
in
those notes just for that. Wow.
basking in your glow. You are wonderful. I adore you. And I adore everyone listening. Thank you all so much. And until next time.
Take care. Thanks, guys.